Africa is a continent brimming with potential. From vast natural resources to a young and vibrant population, it has all the ingredients for economic development and prosperity. But despite its immense promise and potential, Africa continues to grapple with poverty and underdevelopment. Over 450 million Africans live in extreme poverty. That's a third of the population. Over 85% of Africans live on less than $5.5 per day. Why have past solutions fallen short of expectations? And more importantly, what can be done to unlock Africa's true economic potential? We are talking about a continent with over 50 countries, each with its unique history, culture, and economic landscape. From the bustling streets of Lagos to the sprawling savannas of Kenya, there's a common thread: the yearning for economic progress and a better future. It's time to move beyond the tired narratives of despair and embrace a message of hope, opportunity, and solutions for prosperity. Africa is not a lost cause. It's a continent on the cusp of transformation, from potential to prosperity. We understand the challenges. We can learn from past mistakes and embrace innovative solutions. Soon enough, Africa can claim its rightful place as a global economic powerhouse. Africa's economic struggles are well documented. We're talking about a continent where hundreds of millions still lack access to basic necessities like clean water, electricity, and quality healthcare. Poverty is a daily reality for far too many. Poverty in Africa isn't just about a lack of money, it's about a lack of opportunity. It's about limited access to education, healthcare, and job opportunities. Underdevelopment in Africa manifests in various ways, from inadequate infrastructure to limited industrial capacity and import dependence. Many African countries are heavily reliant on the export of raw materials, often at low prices, which leaves them vulnerable to price fluctuations in the global commodities market. With limited domestic processing, manufacturing, and production, we are also highly dependent on the importation of the most basic products, like clothing, shoes, electronics, processed foods, medicines, vehicles, and so on. Essentially, we've been importing poverty and exporting jobs to developed countries. But amidst these challenges, there's a glimmer of hope. There's a real hunger for change and a determination to create a brighter future for Africa. The question is, how do we convert our great potential into sustainable economic growth and prosperity? It's important to talk about why some past programs to address poverty and underdevelopment in Africa have delivered poor results. Countless international aid programs, development projects, and well-intentioned initiatives have been implemented with little impact. The results haven't always matched the good intentions. One key factor is that most of the solutions have been imposed from outside without fully understanding the local context or involving the people they aim to help. A very good example is the failure of IMF's Structural Adjustment Program, SAP, which was widely implemented across Africa in the 1980s. Another problem has been the overemphasis on short-term fixes rather than long-term solutions. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. It might cover up the problem temporarily, but it won't heal the underlying injury. We need sustainable solutions that empower African nations to take control of their economic destinies. We need to stop implementing policies and programs which are more suited to the developed economies and craft development programs that are more appropriate to Africa's development needs. Free market economies of the Western nations are driven largely by the profit motives without any regards for development needs. Therefore, it is imperative for African nations to inject their market moderation and coordination role of the government in order to put the private sector on a leash. Let's not forget about the legacy of colonialism, which continues to cast a long shadow over the continent in the form of neo-colonial practices, exploitative practices, unfair trade agreements, and the extraction of resources without adequate compensation have all contributed to Africa's economic challenges. We must learn from these past mistakes and craft new economic development strategies. By shifting our approach, embracing locally relevant solutions, and addressing the root causes of poverty and underdevelopment, we can create a path for lasting change in Africa. African countries can learn great lessons from some developed nations that have successfully transformed their economies. Germany, USA, Japan, South Korea, and China didn't become economic powerhouses overnight, but followed similar paths of agricultural reforms and transformation, technology-driven industrial development, and strong export drive to earn foreign exchange. They had selfless visionary leaders. They had medium to long-term development plans. They put in the hard work of policy formation and coordination of implementation steps, and eventually reaped the rewards. First, they diversified their economies. They didn't put all their eggs in one basket. They reformed their agricultural sector to increase the productivity and crop output. They invested in manufacturing and technology development. They encouraged domestic value addition and promoted exports to earn foreign exchange. They understand that a skilled workforce is crucial for economic growth and development. So, they prioritize science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM education, and innovation. They invested and continue to invest heavily in research and development, fostering an environment where new ideas could flourish. Furthermore, they developed relevant and sufficient infrastructure, both soft and hard. They built roads, dams, irrigation systems, industrial parks, free trade and economic zones, airports, healthcare and educational facilities, and all the other essential infrastructure that businesses need to thrive. Hard infrastructure is very expensive to develop. In fact, no country in the world has sufficient resources to develop all the infrastructure they need. Therefore, developed nations prioritize and focus initially on development-oriented infrastructure like rural feeder roads for farm settlements, dams, and irrigation systems, industrial parks with embedded facilities, and so on. This is one very important lesson African nations can learn from developed nations. The location of infrastructure projects should be driven by the economic and industrial development needs of the country. So economic development is about playing the long game, investing in people, embracing innovation, and creating a business-friendly environment. Unleashing Africa's agricultural potential. Africa is blessed with vast tracts of fertile arable land. Our continent has 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land. Therefore, agriculture has the potential to be a major driver of economic growth and food security. But African farmers face numerous challenges, from lack of modern farming inputs, techniques and equipment, to inadequate storage facilities and market access, and more recently, insecurity in some African nations. So we need to support and empower our farmers to thrive. First, every country should decide on their priority crops based on climate conditions, arable land available, and competitive advantages. Citizens aged from 18 to 40 years who wish to embark on farming should be allocated 1 to 5 hectares of land to grow specific priority crops. Second, we need to invest in modern agricultural practices. That means providing access to improved high-yield seeds, fertilizers, and irrigation systems. The government should also support the farmers with agricultural extension services. This will greatly increase their productivity, crop output, and incomes. Third, we need to improve infrastructure that is dedicated to agriculture. Let's build better rural feeder roads to transport goods to market, investing in cold storage facilities to reduce post-harvest losses and create more efficient supply chains. And let's not forget about access to finance. Farmers need capital to invest in their farms and expand their businesses. We need to make it easier for small-scale farmers to access credit. There is an imperative for African governments to urgently address the problem of insecurity faced by farmers in many farming communities. There can be no farming without a peaceful environment. Besides domestic food security, African nations should also support agro-processing so we can add value to the crops before exporting. We can earn more from chocolate than from cocoa, more from textiles and garments than from cotton, and so on. By supporting African farmers, we're not just investing in agriculture, we're investing in the future of the entire continent. It's time to turn Africa into a food basket, not just for Africans, but for the world. Africa's vast solid minerals need to be pushed beyond the export of raw minerals towards extensive mineral beneficiation. In other words, the adding value to them in country. From gold and diamonds to cobalt and lithium, the continent is a treasure trove of natural resources. But African countries export these resources in their raw form without adding much value. That's where mineral beneficiation comes in. It's about processing raw minerals into higher value products before exporting them. Instead of just exporting iron ore, why not turn it into steel? By adding value to its mineral resources, Africa can create millions of jobs, boost our economy, and move up the value chain. But mineral beneficiation requires investment in technology, infrastructure, and skills development. It's about building factories, training workers, and creating an environment that attracts investment. By investing in mineral beneficiation, African countries can break free from the cycle of exporting raw minerals and unlock the true value of their natural resources. It's time to turn those raw minerals into finished products and masterpieces to generate much higher export incomes for us. Digital technology as Africa's opportunity. For Africa, digital technology is a game changer. Africa is experiencing a digital revolution with mobile phones and internet access spreading rapidly. This presents a golden opportunity to leapfrog traditional development stages. Mobile money is transforming financial inclusion, connecting millions to the formal economy. Telemedicine is bringing healthcare to remote areas, bridging the gap in access. E-commerce and e-procurement platforms are creating new markets for African businesses, expanding their reach beyond borders. However, for Africa to fully harness the power of technology, we need to invest in digital infrastructure, from expanding broadband connectivity to promoting digital literacy. We need to go beyond software to also invest in hardware development as well. Every software resides and operates inside a hardware. We also need to foster an environment that encourages innovation and entrepreneurship. That means supporting tech startups, providing access to funding, and creating a regulatory environment that encourages risk-taking. By embracing innovation and empowering its young people, Africa can use technology to solve the continent's most pressing challenges and create a brighter future. Africa's rebound from potential to prosperity will require all hands to be on deck. We all have a role to play in supporting Africa's economic transformation, the government, the private sector, the people, and the international community. The international community needs to step up and support Africa's development efforts. That means promoting fair trade practices, becoming less exploitative, and investing in infrastructure projects that benefit African nations. It's about being reliable partners, not just donors. Africa's rise is not just an African dream, it's a global imperative. A prosperous and stable Africa benefits everyone. It means a more peaceful, just, equitable, and prosperous world for all. By investing in Africa's people, its resources, and its potential, we can help unlock unprecedented economic growth and opportunity. Imagine a future where Africa is no longer defined by poverty, civil strife, and military conflicts, but by peaceful coexistence, innovation, and prosperity. The journey won't be easy. There will be challenges along the way, but by working together, the political, military, business, and intellectual elite, we can unlock Africa's true potential and make Africa's development dream a reality. Africa's future is bright. Let's work together to make it happen.